Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has hit out at interim Prime Minister Muhammad Yunus in one of her first interviews to an Indian media. In written responses to Hindustan Times, the former Prime Minister alleges that the violent and extremist policies of Yunus is responsible for friction with India. She's alleged that Yunus's sponsorship of extremists threaten to undermine the ties between the two countries. Reacting to the ban on activities of Awami League by Yunus government, Hasina called it a violation of Bangladesh's constitution and the fundamental democratic rights of the people. She also added that her party supporters will not vote in the upcoming elections scheduled for February next year if they cannot vote for a party of their preference, in fact. And responding to Bangladesh's interim government seeking an extradition to face charges in cases filed against her, Hasina said that she was deeply grateful to the Indian people for providing her with a safe haven. Sheikh Hasina has been living in self-exile in India ever since her government fell in August of 2024, following weeks of student-led protests in Bangladesh. And in her first response since fleeing Bangladesh to India, she has now hit out at the interim Prime Minister Muhammad Yunus, blaming him for hostilities against minority in Bangladesh. Joining us on the show is Suhas Chakma, Director, Rights and Risks Analysis Group. Suhas Chakma, thank you very much, sir, for taking time out for joining us on the show. What are you making of what Sheikh Hasina is saying? She's essentially saying that it is the interim Prime Minister who's responsible for what's happening between India and Bangladesh and for the kind of direction in which policies against minorities have taken shape in the last couple of months.
Well, I think that's only partially true. At the end of the day, Yunus is not a popular leader. Yunus is not somebody who had led the movement that led to the toppling of Sheikh Hasina's government. Yunus is basically the rubber stamp of certain people who wanted regime change in Bangladesh. So when Yunus speaks, it's not Yunus himself speaking. There are certain key actors who had installed Muhammad Yunus in power in Dhaka. So whatever directions he gets or he receives, he basically conveys those messages through the public platform. And if you had seen actually a couple of messages which he had been circulating himself in social media, I think one was relating to the recognitions or the rewriting of the history of Bangladesh, basically only recognizing the period from 1975 when Ziaur Rahman had taken power and to the fall of the Hasina's government. That's one message which he had given 2 days back. Then yesterday he had circulated one message about the killing of Feloni Khatun by the BSF, etc. So you could see that, Muhammad Yunus is in a concerted manner, beyond the flag, he is actually raising these issues. So it's not his personal agenda. And I think he represents a certain quarter, and he's speaking on those behalf. And the attacks on the minorities, if you look at it, systematic, trying to ban the ISKCON, attacks on the minorities and indigenous peoples in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, and not even holding the meetings of the CHT Land Commission Act, which is a government body, or the task force for the rehabilitation of the returned refugees from India. So you could see there is a systematic pattern, but I think I disagree slightly because Yunus himself is not alone responsible. There is a particular interest group who are, keeping Yunus in power, and that's why I think he is not alone responsible. He himself alone will not do it unless there is certain support for him.
All right. And what do you think are the potential consequence of what Sheikh Hasina said? She said she's grateful to India. What could be the potential implication between India and Bangladesh of her, expression of gratitude towards India for providing her with a safe haven, and also asserting that India and Bangladesh should remain allies? What role do you think she'll play as far as India and Bangladesh relationship is concerned, given that she is here and she is in political exile?
See, at the end of the day, we think we have to recognize the fact that at least 40 to 45% of the population of Bangladesh, even at this point of time, support Sheikh Hasina. And there is a section of the people in Bangladesh who believe in Jai Bangla, who believe in the freedom struggle of Bangladesh. And people have not forgotten the genocide committed by the Pakistani security forces, the mass rape of thousands of women in Bangladesh, all the atrocities committed during the 1971 liberation war. So if they have not forgotten all those things, the question is, I mean, of course, they will continue to play a critical role in that. So that's why I think she believes that at a certain point of time she'll come back to power and she will play a role with India.
Believe that she'll come back to power, because she's most certainly saying that if she goes back to Dhaka, she's likely to face a death sentence. Do you see in any near or distant future Sheikh Hasina coming back to power? And with that question, I also want to ask you, what sort of regional stability do you think will play out as far as Bangladesh's current politics is concerned, with Yunus government staying over up until February, and if elections are conducted thereafter?
Well, I think the struggle of the so-called revolution of Bangladesh is unfinished. I believe that at a certain point of time, she has to come to power, because that's the aspiration of the people of Bangladesh. The aspiration of the people of Bangladesh is independence from Pakistan. And just because certain people at this point of time are enjoying power, for this brief period, it doesn't mean that the Awami League will not come to power. Awami League has to come to power at a certain point of time. Otherwise, this rewriting of history, I mean, I don't think the Bangladeshis are going to accept the fact that it's going to turn into East Pakistan. Bangladesh shall remain Bangladesh, and it will not be part of Pakistan in that sense. So that's one part. I think in terms of the regional security and stability, it's extremely concerning, given the fact that, what the government of interim government had done is they shot themselves in the foot by banning the Awami League. But Awami League as an idea of the freedom struggle, you cannot ban it. So there will be massive upsurge, and this particular regime at some point of time in history, it might be 5 years, it might be 2 years, it might be 10 years, these people will not survive or will not remain in power without giving this space to the Awami League. So it basically means either they have to crush Awami League, or Awami League will have to crush them. So we are looking forward to a civil war situation, and it will impact regional security and stability. And I think we have to be very careful as far as India is concerned.
All right. Suhas, thank you very much for taking time out for joining us on the show.